Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the scheduled and the tribal areas, right? This is the topic on which we have been discussing right now. And basically within this particular series of the scheduled and the tribal areas, okay? Within this particular series, all these are the topics that we had scheduled for the discussion, like starting with the introduction, okay? Starting with the introduction. Thereafter, the scheduled areas in India, an overview of it. Then the criteria for the identification of the scheduled areas. Then the constitutional provisions and the governance. Then the concerns that are related to the scheduled areas. Then the administration of scheduled areas. Then the scheduled tribes. Then the general concerns of the tribal community. Then the addressing the challenges. Then the significance of the indigenous communities. Then the problems that are being faced by the tribal groups. Then conclusion. Then the administration of the tribal areas. Okay. So these are the topics that we had scheduled for the discussion. If we talk about the topics that we have covered so far, so basically we have done with the introduction part. We have done with the scheduled areas in India, an overview of it. We have done with the criteria for the identification of scheduled areas. We have done with the constitutional provisions and the governance. And also we have done with the concerns that are related to the scheduled areas. Okay. So these are the topics that we have covered so far. If we talk about the topic on which we have been discussing right now, so this is the administration. Okay, this is the topic that we are going to start this lecture. So the topics that we are left with, these are the administration of the scheduled areas, scheduled tribes, general concerns of the tribal community, what are the concerns related with them, addressing these challenges, like how will we address these challenges that they are facing, significance of the indigenous communities, problems that are being faced by the tribal groups, conclusion, and the administration of the tribal areas. Okay, so this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. Before starting this lecture, let me ask you one simple question, and the question is very important. You are required to tell me what is the total population of tribals in India. This question I have asked you almost several times, but this time again I will ask the same question so that I will make sure this thing must be pasted in your mind. Okay, so the question I'm repeating again. What is the tribal population in India? To answer this question, you will have 30 seconds. Time starts now. Just think about it. We have discussed this many times. All right. So this time you could not afford to give wrong answer. Okay. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. All right. Just think about it. That is a very simple question, I will say. Last 10 seconds are there. Okay. The time is going to be up. The time's up. So total 104 million. What? 104 million is the total population of the tribals that are living in India. Okay, this is the total number of population. If we talk about the population percentage, what is the number? If we talk about the population percentage, what is the number? To answer this question, you will have 10 seconds to think and answer. Time starts now. Ten seconds have been passed. Last 20s are remaining. $20 seconds have been passed. Last 10 seconds are remaining. Okay, the time is going to be up. Time's up. Correct answer is 8.06%. How much? 8.06% is the total percentage of population that tribals have in our community. All right. So these were the questions that I wanted to ask you. I have asked you kindly make sure that you revise all the lectures in the well enough manner before you go for the another lecture, because that is for your own benefit. If you are doing this on the regular basis, the thing will be on favor. If you are not doing this on the regular basis, the thing will be hard for you. That's clear cut thing. Okay. So basically, this is the series we have been discussing. And this is the new topic that we are going to start. Administration of scheduled areas. Okay. What is the administration of the scheduled areas? This is a topic that we are going to start right now. Okay. So basically, if we talk about it, okay, if we are going to talk about it, then we can say the scheduled areas treated differently from the other areas in the country. Okay. Scheduled areas are treated differently from the other areas in the country. Why? Because they are inhabited by the Aboriginals. They are inhabited by the Aboriginals. So what is the meaning of Aboriginals? What do you understand by it? Okay, this is the another question. I will give you the answer. Don't worry. But before this, it will be a question for you. 30 seconds you guys have to think an answer. Time starts now. Just think about it. That is going to be a very easy question. I don't think that this will be hard for you. Okay. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. Just think about it. That is a easy question, we will say. Last 10 seconds you guys have. Okay, the time is going to be up. The time's up. Okay. So if we talk about the word Aboriginal, okay, if we talk about the word Aboriginal, so basically this word was originated from the Australia. Like we know, there are the 7 continents of the world: North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Antarctica, and Australia. Australia is country also, on Australia is continent also, right? That is what we know. So basically what happened here, Australia was originally inhabited by the tribes. Okay, originally there were the local tribes that were living there. But then what happened? The Britishers, yes, the Europeans and the Britishers, the same who ruled over India, or you can say who invaded the India. Okay, the same thing was there. Okay, various British men and various British voyages basically reached the Australian continent. Okay, during the medieval times, and basically they started inhabited there. All right, and then what happened? The British population was started rising there. All right, and the tribes that were living originally there, those were start reducing. Okay, even you can say there was a very interesting fact in the history that basically the Australian continent was used by the Britishers to punish the people. Now you will ask how. So basically what happened? Like in the Britain, there was a rule, there was a situation. If anyone would commit a crime, like the murder, like the rape and other kind of serious or heinous crimes, all right, then what will happen? The person who has committed this kind of crimes, he will be deported from the country, okay, and he will be sent to the Australia. What I'm saying, he would be deported from the country and he would be sent to the continent of Australia, okay, as a punishment. Now, what the British started there, like those criminals who were sending to this Australian continent, okay, they started marrying the local Australians. Local Australians, what? Who were the local Australians? Those who were originally living there. I'm not talking about those who got migrated. What I'm talking about, those who were originally living there. All right. Basically, they started marrying them. They started, you can say, giving birth to their child. And that's how the Australian European population started growing in the field, in the Australian continent. That was the one thing. Second thing was that the Australians, the real Australians, the tribes who were basically getting into conflict with the Britishers who were trying to occupy the country. And because of this, many tribesmen were killed in this serious series of conflicts. Okay. Even there is a one more fact that I would tell you that is also interesting. Okay. But this going to be the question for first. All right. Now I'm asking you a simple question. What is the capital of Australia? Simple question is this. What is the capital of Australia? To answer this question, you will have 30 seconds. Okay. Think about it carefully. Please do not Google it. All right. Time starts now. This is also important from the examination point of view because sometimes the capital and currency questions are asked in the examination. Okay. All right. The 10 seconds have been passed. Last 30s are remaining. Sorry, last 20s are remaining. Okay. Just think about it. Okay. Last 10 seconds are there. The time is going to be up. The times. Okay. So this is the time to give the answer. If you didn't Google it, okay, if you didn't Google the question, then most of you have thought the capital of Australia is Sydney. Most of you have thought the capital is Melbourne. Most of you have thought the capital is Perth. Okay, that is, you can say, a very common thing. Most of you have thought the capital is Sydney. Most of you have thought the capital is, you can say, Melbourne. Most of you have thought the capital is Perth. What is the reason behind it? Because these are the famous areas in Australia, all right? And most of these are also the famous cricket grounds, like the Perth, like the Melbourne and others, okay? But if I say that all these answers are wrong, what you will say? If I say all these answers are totally wrong, okay, quite shocking, right? But it is true. The capital of Australia is not Sydney, not Melbourne, not Perth, but the capital is Canberra. What is the capital? Canberra. All right. And Canberra is the local Australian name, which means the place of meeting or place of gathering. Right? So Canberra is the capital. All right. So now come back to the topic. Why I have connected it with the Australia? Why? What was the reason behind it? The reason is that to explain you the meaning of Aboriginals, first thing, also to make a build-up for you. Now you will say, what kind of build-up? Basically, this same concept is also applicable, also applied to the case of India. And how? Basically, it is believed that India was originally inhabited by the Adivasis. Who? Adivasi. Okay. It is also the Hindi form of Aboriginals. Okay. Aboriginals means the real inhabitants of the country. Okay. Who were really lived there. Adivasis were the one who really lived there. Then it is believed, basically, the Aryans. Okay. The Aryans came to the country nearly about 2700 BC. Okay. When the Indus Valley civilization was on the decline. During this time, they invaded the country. Okay. Then it is in the history. I'm not saying by myself. It is in the history. You can read it out. Basically, it is believed when the Aryans came to the India, the local population that was called Dasyus or Dasas. Okay. Dasyus or Dasas, these were killed and basically these were capitated by the Aryans. Okay. And this could be connected to the Britishers also. Like when the Britishers reached the Australian continent, then they also did the same thing. They killed the locals, they captured them, all right. And the same thing was happening in India. The Aryans killed the Dasyus, okay, and Dasas and captured them, all right. So basically, that was the thing. And what is there ahead of it, you can say the Aboriginals about which we are discussing right now. These are socially and economically rather backward. Why? Because if we talk about the Indus Valley, if we talk about the Aryans and all, So if you start reading there, you can say history, like the Indus Valley civilization. We know the Indus Valley civilization was an urban civilization. Okay. So now we can say like how we decide an area is the urban area or the rural area. How you could decide it? Okay. What is the base? So you will say, if we watch the area, then we will say that this is an urban area, this is a rural area. Why? Because urban areas usually having infrastructure, the buildings, the complexes and all. Rural areas are generally having the fields, okay, the primitive houses, the livestock with the people and all. This kind of thing you can say. But if I put a condition forward and I ask you, you are required to identify the area as an urban area, okay, without visiting the place. How you will do it? In the previous one, you were visiting the place, you were seeing the infrastructure, you were seeing the buildings, you were seeing the area. But this case, the condition that I have put in front of you, this condition asks you to look after the area just by the name. You are not allowed to visit the area. Then you are required to declare an area as an urban area or rural area. How you will do it? That is a question. So I will grant you 30 seconds. Time starts now. Please remember the condition. Not allowed to visit the place. So please do not think such kind of answers. 10 seconds have been passed. Last 20 are remaining. And this is also very important from the, you can say, common sense point of view. Okay, because that is not so much hard type of question. That is one of the most simple type of question. Last 10 seconds are remaining. Okay. Just think about it. Okay, the question. Okay, the time's up. So basically, any area could be decided as in rural, as in urban, as in semi-urban on the basis of economical activities. Like if we talk about the sectors of economy, then economy is divided into the 3 sectors. However, there are the, you can say, the 5 sectors, but here we are only talk about the 3 sectors: primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. What I'm saying? Primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. The primary sector is the sector that generally refers to the activities of mining, fishing, horticulture, agriculture. Okay. Secondary sector is generally given to the industries. However, the intermediate industries, the finishing good industries. Third is the secondary sector. The secondary sector is totally refers to the service sector, like banking, like insurance, like transportation and all. Okay. So remember, there are 3 kinds of sector. All right. Here I have told you intermediate industries and the finishing good industries. So what is the difference between them? The intermediate industry is the industry that is not selling the product to the final customer. Okay. So how it could be decided? Like there is a complete chain. If we talk about the manufacturing, there is a complete chain. Like first is the manufacturer, then comes the agent, okay, who will take the product from here. Then comes the distributor. Agent will give the product to distributor. Distributor will sell it to the wholesaler. The wholesaler will sell it to the retailer. Retailer is the one from whom you will get the product. For example, suppose if we take the example of Lifebuoy. All right. If we take the example of Lifebuoy. All right. So basically what we can say, Lifebuoy manufactured in the factory. Agent then bring it to the distributor. The distributor give it to the wholesaler. Wholesalers give it to the retailer, like your nukkad shops. And from your local shops, you have bought it. That is called the final consumer industries, because you are the one who going to consume it finally. Intermediate industries are those which are not going to use it finally. For example, if we talk about iron and steel. So if any industry like XYZ Limited, they are molding the irons. So they will not sell it directly to you. They will sell it to the various other factories that will use this iron for making any kind of products, right? That is a thing. So on the basis of this would be decided whether the area is an rural area or the urban area. Okay. If the area is having the high primary activities, okay, then the area would be an rural area. If the area is having the secondary and the secondary and tertiary activities, the area would be a urban area. That is the main thing. Okay. But the Indus Valley as well as the Aryan culture, like the Vedic civilization, these two both were the urban. Why? Because they have the primary system. They were doing the agriculture and all, but moreover, they have the secondary and tertiary activities as well. Okay. So it means that they were under the growing phase, they were under the mainstream. But when we compare it with the Dasyus, the Dasas, or the Adivasis, so since the starting, I have been telling you the same thing, that these peoples are more ever dependent on the forest, on the nature. Okay, like the primary activities. Most of them were practicing the hunting and gathering activities. Okay, they were hunting down the animals, they were gathering the fruits and other things for their food and all. Okay, these were doing the cultivation, but not like the Indus Valley people and the Vedic people were doing it. Okay, why? Because the Indus Valley and the Vedic people were doing the agriculture like on the modern basis. When we talk about modern basis and mainstream basis, so if you belong to the farmer background, or you can say if anyone in your family is the farmer, okay, then you must be aware about it. How? Like you will have a clear cut field, okay, you will have a fixed field, you will have a fixed you can say rotation of the crops that you are going to grow on them. Okay, everything would be a fix, right? But when we talk about the shifting and the you can say the most primitive type of agriculture, then we know in the shifting agriculture the producer do not own any particular land. Basically he clears the forest land, okay, and then he makes a field there, he burns the trees, spreaded the ashes, and then growing the crops there for his own consumption, not for selling. What I'm saying, for his own consumption, not for selling. All right, this is called the subsistence farming. If you learn about it, it is the field of geography, it is known as the subsistence farming. Got it? That is the thing. So the Dasas and the Dasyus, because they were only doing the agriculture for their own survival, they were not doing it for the selling purpose and all, they were not doing it commercially. So that's why they did not grow economically as the other areas grown. Okay, then we know, however, they were totally dependent upon the rates and all. Like we know in the medieval times, various kings were there who were giving the protection and tributes, to the chieftains or the chiefs of the tribal areas. Why? Because the tribals were, you can say, continuously attacking the convoys and all, looted their food, looted their resources so that they could survive. And to protect them from this thing, to protect the convoys, basically the kings and rulers were doing the tribute and all. In respect of it, the tribals were not attacking the convoys, and also the tribals were supporting the rulers during the war times. Okay, that was a thing economically. Socially, why we call them socially backward? Because these were living in the cutoff. Okay, when we talk about it, like since the history, okay, like the ancient, medieval, and modern, since those times, these were living in the primitive phase. These were living in the Adivasi phase. Okay, these were not a part of mainstream like the other areas. So whatsoever development we have seen in the society, okay, because our society has been consistently evolving since the starting till now. Okay, so all the changes only we felt, those were not. Okay, that's make them socially backward. And why economically? Because as I have told you, even the Britishers had a great role to make them economically weaker. Why? Because the Britishers were not only displacing them from their land, but also keeping them as the begar mazdoors or begar labor. What is a begar labor? Basically, if you generally hire any labor at your home, for example, if you hire any labor at your home, so you must be aware about it. Like you are required to pay some dihadi. or the daily wages to the person whom you have hired to doing your work, right? Begar Mazdoor or the Begar labor is the one who is not entitled to receive any kind of money. Okay, he will do a work for free. All right. So basically, when the Britishers attacked the, you can say these tribes, they captured their mans and even the adult childs, and basically they used them as the Begar laborers. Because of this, many of them also remains economically backwards. And when we talk about the modern times, because for a long years they have been lived in a cutoff. So that's why if we want them to include in the mainstream, so there must be some special efforts that we are required to make. Then only they will be improving their conditions. Okay. So that's why the whole of the normal administrative machinery that is generally operating in a state, okay, and you can say through which the state is managing the state affairs, that is not extended to an area that is known as the scheduled area. Doesn't matter whether the area is in the state or not. Like we know, there is a complete autonomy to the states in order to governing the state or to managing the internal affairs of the state. Okay, so if any scheduled area lies in the state, so technically that is within the state boundary. Okay, so the state must have the right to managing the administration and other affairs. All right, but as I have told you, the state having the limited resources. Okay, and the state is not only responsible to uplift the or to look after the tribal areas and scheduled areas, but they are also responsible to uplift the others. Okay, so that's why to give the special kind of attention and the special kind of resources, basically the central government has acquired somewhat of great responsibility for these areas so that it could be ensured the special efforts could be made for them. Second thing is uniformity. Like every state is different, okay, in terms of government, in terms of the policies. Like Uttar Pradesh having different kind of policies, Kerala having different kind of policies, Karnataka different kind of policies, Jammu and Kashmir different kind of policies, Meghalaya different kind of policies. So all the states having the different kind of policies, right? So if one state is doing the policy or working on the policy that is good for the schedule and the tribal areas in that state, another state is so much casual in that approach. So what will happen? There will be a uneven upliftment of the schedule and the tribal areas, and the condition would be more over the same that was existed during the independence. That's why to ensure the uniformity and to ensure the uniform implementation of the policies and all, the central government has taken the charge. Okay, that is the thing. So students, basically in this lecture, we have just taken an overview of the administration of scheduled areas. In the next lecture, we will try to finish it. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture. And it is my humble request to all of you, please do a little bit research on the Australia and the case of America. Because then only you will be understand like what happened with the Aboriginals during the medieval, last medieval and modern history times. Okay, then only you will be able to connect it with India. Okay, because the moreover the conditions were the same, however the condition in India is little bit improved. Why? Because we have provided various kind of safeguards for them, but in other countries these kind of things are not available at much extent as they are available in the country of India. Okay, so that is the thing. So with this note, let's end this lecture, and what we say thank you.